apart from the SNT or the police officers, they've conducted numerous patrols, days and evenings, and I think two of the officers that have been doing that are sat here. They couldn't identify any further problems. So I think there is more, but I think from what I'm going to tell you, the work that was done with the partners and by the SNT officers themselves, Mr Townsend is now happy, and by the fact he's not here, in a way I take that as quite positive, because even if he was still unhappy, he'd be back here to meet like he was last week. In Sarah's view, I think we've done our work with that one, and we can close that one, but obviously that will come to the meeting for a vote later on. I'm really happy with the work that was done on that, and I think we've got that one where it needs to be. The other ones were both parking. First one was Swan Lane, Merton Slade, and I think Will is here. We might want to talk a little bit when I finish my bit on this, Will, about what's happened in relation to Swan Lane, Merton Slade. Usually we have really good partnership working. When we try and talk to a partner, we've got a particular problem, we have a meeting, we sort out what we're going to do, and we move forward, and it's relatively simple. Sometimes we can't actually sort the problem out, but it's relatively simple to have a meeting, get together and try and move forward together. Unfortunately with this one, we had a bit of a problem with one of our main partners, Suffolk County Council Highways. Sarah Bartley emailed and called to try and get a meeting with someone. I'm not going to name the officer involved, but to try and get a meeting with someone to come to the site, to have a site meeting very much like we did with the first one, to look at what we could do. We didn't get any joy with that. We then went to our county councillors who do come along to the meeting, I'd like to say. We then tried to get this officer to have that meeting. Unfortunately, it still didn't work. We got contact with that officer shortly before this, so we haven't been able to have a site meeting. We haven't been able to get things working, and it's all been very frustrating for the SNT and certainly for others involved as well. We have patrolled the area on 69 separate occasions over the last 3 months, various times of the day and evening. 4 fixed penalty tickets have been issued, and if you know the area of Swan Lane, Merton Slade, there were particular areas you could issue tickets for, but in general terms, most of it you couldn't. I think there's an update from Will in relation to that. There wasn't an order in place for us to issue tickets throughout the entire area that people were interested in. We also issued 9 verbal warnings. On every other occasion, we spoke to drivers, either moved vehicles on or everything was in order. But I think, Will, if you've got a quick update in relation to whether an order is now in place there.
I'm not aware of any order in place. Somebody did tell me there's a sign up now which suggests that there is an order in place, but I've not been advised of one. If it is, I imagine it must be experimental, because as far as I can see, there's been no public consultation, which there would have to be for it to be a permanent order. We do have this transport workshop on Wednesday, organised by the County Council and taking place at the Arts Centre, mainly to deal with the High Street, but I can find out more then and report back to the next meeting. But I've not been advised of a formal traffic order in place. I don't know whether anybody else has seen the signs that I'm told are there. Pat may.
Yeah, I've seen the sign. It's on the, you know, the post that block the cars from going across the bridge. It's on one of them bollards that stops the cars from going across.
I must have walked past it a dozen times.
Yeah, not quite as straightforward as I was hoping then. I hope that I was out of the loop slightly, and someone with a bit more knowledge might have known that an order was in place. But it seems like we're going to need to check out if an order is in place, or if not, if it's a temporary order or whatever. Until we know that, this priority is a little bit moot, because we're struggling to enforce what you've all asked us to enforce. If there's no order in place, we're struggling really. To move on to the last one, which is legal parking in School Lane. I'm sure most of you, or those of you with children, will know that there hasn't been any school for the last 6 weeks. It's obviously just come back. Sarah is saying during the last 3 months there's been no issues, mainly due to it being school holidays. It's obviously been school holidays for the last 6 weeks. However, prior to the holidays, we visited the location 18 times and 1 fixed penalty notice was issued. Provisions have now been put in place for those dropping children off, picking up at the rugby club, so they've got somewhere that they can now park. Sarah says, I feel that we've now taken this forward as much as we can, apart from regularly issuing tickets, which we could do at every school in the town. There's nothing more we can do to solve the issue of illegal parking unless members of the meeting wish us to start issuing tickets there, and we would then say, well, why are you issuing tickets there and not at other schools? So I leave that to the meeting, really. So we've got 3 priorities there, and somebody suggested at the last meeting, I think it was a really good idea, to not decide if we should get rid of those 3 until we find out what the new priorities are, because I think those of us that were at the last meeting was a priority that we very much wished we could have used, but it lost out because one of the other priorities was carried forward.
All 3 groups have now sorted it out. So if we can hear from this group here, the spokesman from that group, that would be very helpful. Tony, thank you.
Our first priority is parking on pavements around the town generally, but specifically the high street, because there's a lot of problems with people with wheelchairs and people with vans, that sort of stuff. Quite often they have to go out to the road. I think this has been brought up on a number of occasions, but for some reason it seems to be some ongoing issues that people are frustrated.
Everlasting things all linked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the number 1. Number 2 is antisocial drinking in the no drinking zone, still surroundings, especially around Tesco's, the churches, railway line. Sorry, not the railway, you have a future railway line. Number 3, and Miriam will witness this outside the town the other evening after the town council meeting. Speeding cars going up the high street, we was there chatting for about half an hour, and in that time 15 to 20 vehicles came up that road. One of them was doing like a thing around that 60 miles an hour, and two of them motorbikes as well. Can't say that that was just that one time that we was there that it happened, but it must happen quite regularly. Someone's going to, because pavements aren't actually fine, someone's going to get on over there.
It's particularly at night.
Yeah, at night.
What about the other priorities we had last time? Do you think they've been handled satisfactorily?
Yes, generally. There's always work, and some of these things aren't easy to solve. One of the things that we did talk about is that in one way we put a lot to the police at these meetings when there should be other agencies here involved as well. You shouldn't just put it on the police's lap. Some of this is other council agencies, other problems in the police. So I think maybe in the future maybe other people here as well to sort of try to get on top of it and say it shouldn't be the police.
Okay, don't feel like doing it, so it's fine. We've got 3 clear priorities there. Okay, if we can move on to this group over here, whoever's reporting back. Leave the post, is it?
Right. We've got 3 priorities. One of them is situated around Clayhive Drive, Clements and Beaconsfield Court area. Look at social behaviour, people coming through from the top end of Clements, who pass through for sort of Friday, Saturday nights maybe. But people pass through and with alcohol, and then pass through to go down through and onto the wreck, which is obviously an alcohol-free zone, but obviously it gets taken on there and they all congregate on there. But a lot of the time, all the litter that they bring through gets chucked around our area, dumps and everything. We've got Bedford Court, which is your area. What was it again?
Yeah, a lot of probably tools like it, and a lot of vandalism.
A lot of vandalism and stuff around that area. And also Clements Drive, where there's been some.
Yes, he's not here to talk about it, but he's been a lot of robbery and security as well, and it's right there.
So I can't hear that. I'm sure Peter can't.
Robbery.
Robbery and social behavior illiterate.
Okay. Just the 2.
Sorry.
3.
Bedford Court, Antisocial Behaviour, Clayhive Drive, etc. What was the other one?
Clements Drive.
Clements Drive. Oh, that's fine. It's the same general area, though.
Yeah.
Fine. Group 3.
We have a few things that Peter's going to take forward directly, and I presume they'll be discussed afterwards when they make it. So the ones that we're taking forward are the street drinkers. The same group seem to be sleeping in the allotment sheds and unnerving the residents who've got allotments up there, but they're also the same people who are congregating in the town centre and drinking in the no drinking zone. They seem also to be using that area outside the church to congregate. The second one, which has already been brought up tonight, are the boy racers going up the high street at night. But in addition to going up the high street at night, they're using the town centre car park to race around, and they're also doing antisocial things like taking signs and moving them into the middle of the road, and it seems to be the same group that are involved in all of that. So they're quite an active group, and according to Peter, they're quite a new group in the town, so that's really something going. Cleves Road, speeding. Cleves Road's got 2 chicanes at the top and the bottom, and certainly the top one is hugely dangerous. If people are speeding up there and you're starting to make that route come down, you really can't see them coming up, and it's really very unpleasant. Either the thing is moving or the speeding is controlling there. And of the ones which, the priorities you had before, the Swan Lane, Merton Lane and Queen Street was revisited by the group again tonight, so that's one that if what was to be kept in, that would be the one out of the 3.
Thank you. Okay, some real hard perennials coming back, I notice here. Boy racers, drinking in the alcohol-free zone. Right, so where do you want to take from there?
If Roz has got all those priorities noted down, do you mind running through them? And if the group is agreeable, we'll vote for each of those in turn. You've got as many votes as you want, so you haven't just got one vote, and we'll count up how many people vote for each of the priorities, and it's going to be as simple as the top 3 as voted by you. That's what the SNT will be dealing with for the next 3 months. And we'll also include the 3 previous priorities as well. And if no one votes for them, they'll obviously be dropped. But if they stay popular and they stay in the top 3, they'll be carried forward. So, Roz, if you've got them all.
Excuse me, Peter, I know I'm late tonight and I have missed the last 2. But I've got one that concerns everybody, and that's the ambulances brigade. Right. We've got no ambulance in this town, compared to what it used to be 47 years ago. We had 3 ambulances 47 years ago, right, to go around the town. We have now got 1 ambulance and 1 medical car, and we have double the amount of people in this town. Okay?
I've got to be honest, I don't think that's something that the SNT can vote on. If we want to talk about that next time...
I think next time is a waste of time.
No.
I think
You
it's
need
either
to
now...
be here. I know you were late and there's reasons
Yeah,
for
I do
that, but you
apologise.
need to discuss it in a group, bring it to the main group, and then we can all talk about it. I don't think, if I'm honest...
I think next time could be a person who's got a heart attack and got no ambulance around.
Sorry, can I just make a suggestion? I think that is everybody's concern.
Yes,
And I
it is
think
concern.
If you discuss that with councillors outside of this meeting, we will give you a commitment that we will develop it and take it on.
Well, I
It's
think...
something the town has been concerned about for a long, long time. The town council made representation under Haverhill and Health on the ambulance situation. So if you can discuss it with the councillors outside this meeting, it will be dealt with.
Well, I don't know how many councillors are in here. I know Tim and all that. But I need a few here. I mean, do you expect a man to wait 3 hours for an ambulance?
Of course not, no.
Do you expect him to wait an hour? Half an hour? I mean, that's what's happening in Haverhill. And next time it could be one of you people here will be looking for an ambulance, right? And before you know it, you've had a heart attack and that's it, finished. Just because the councils and the people can't get together and put more ambulances in this town.
Right, you've had a platform, right, and I don't think there's a person in this room that would disagree with you, but this isn't the right forum for that.
Okay.
I've got to be honest, it's not the right forum, but you've got a support throughout the entire room. That's not something we can vote on this evening.
I think that.
On the road, but it's not just this area, it's across the country.
It's an Eastern region problem.
Do you want to go through, Ross? Okay, we're going to go through them one at a time. If you like the sound of the priority, stick your hand up and make sure we count them properly. Okay?
Like pavement parking, mainly in the high street but all over town.
I make that 20. Anyone got? Will, do you want to do it with me, Will? Alright, stick your hand straight up, that way we know we've got it there. I make that 20 again. Good.
Right, antisocial behaviour involving drinking in the no drink zone, mainly Tesco's, churchyards and the railway walk.
I make that 50. Yeah, including you. 15.
Speeding cars up and down the high street, up the high street.
Yeah, no, actually 23.
Okay.
Antisocial behaviour involving drunkenness whilst people are passing to the red drive Clements court area.
Is your hand up, Luke? Yeah. 16? 16?
16, yes.
Yeah, 16.
Robbery, antisocial behaviour, littering in the Bedford court area.
Ten? Yeah. 10.
Antisocial behaviour in Clements Drive area.
sure some people have more than 3 votes too.
Yeah.
Remember, you're supposed to be picking your top 3 votes.
Hands straight up, please, so we can see. Or in the up down.
I'm not.
Maybe 12.
12, yep.
The street drunks sleeping in the allotments.
It's not just about in the allotments, it's about drinking in the street.
Yeah, and street drinking in the high street as well.
Not just about.
Yeah, that's definitely social drinking.
2 for the price of 1, that one. Ten?
Yeah.
10?
I think this one is the same as number 3, but we've got the boy races in the high street and racing around car parks.
Yeah, same one. Yeah.
That's okay. Please Road, speeding.
6.
And the Swan Lane, Merton Slade, Queen Street areas again with parking.
Sorry, what was that?
One lane parking,
That's
versus lane,
right.
all around there.
6. Have we mentioned the 3 that we had last time? Have they been raised yet? Okay, let's go through the other 2 then, see if they get many votes at all. I can see there's a fair bit of tactical voting going on, and there's nothing wrong with that. You get as many votes as you like, and that's...
I think I'm confused because some of it is the same, but it's been split up and it's been put out to the vote, so
Yeah.
it's going to give a false count.
That's High Street, the car park, yeah, same thing. Right across the
Yeah.
Drinking in the high street and the allotments and the drinking in Tesco's and whatever is the same thing, but you've separated them.
Okay, as fairly as possible, so that everybody that comes here gets their chance to have their say. So if we go through the 2 that we haven't mentioned from last time, we'll see how many votes we get from that, and then Ros will read out what we think of the top 3. And if there's some sort of double whammy on the same one, then we'll have to, as a group here, decide what's more suitable. If something else that was mentioned that's more suitable than the double whammy that we had. Just mention the previous 2 we had, Ros.
Social behaviour in Ossia Place.
No votes for that, by the looks of it.
Merton Slade, which we've already had.
Yeah.
Yes, School Lane, Burton End. Parking.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind then, Ros, if you just read out what you think or what we think of the top 3, and then we'll see if, as a group, if we think that's suitable.
Well, the top 3 that I've got is pavement parking in and around Haverhill Town and the High Street. Antisocial behaviour involving drinking in the no drink zone around the town, but Tesco's, Churchyard and the railway line, and now including the allotments. And speeding cars up the high street and around car parks.
The social behaviour one is the whole of the town, not only drinking and no alcohol zones.
It's too wide. It needs to be focused on a particular area for us to actually crack it.
To be fair, when the group from the Clements raised their issues, he raised 2 or 3 things that they were experiencing. It's one problem that we 3 or 4 elements in, but they've been voted on separately, so we haven't really done them any justice, because one vote was only 10. When if you lump them together, we all support that the antisocial behaviour and the drinking and the drink, but they've been separated.
That is fair comment, but what we have to do is get the priorities back from each group. Otherwise, either me or Tim will walk around saying, you can't have that, you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't have this. The groups have got to decide what their 3 priorities are. And perhaps next time, we'll get a more focused one. I'm only too happy to work on ASB on the Clements. But
put all
Yeah.
yours into one priority.
General, it's all.
Because you split it up into three.
Clements Court,
Well, I think
Clements
if
Drive,
those
Bedford
three
Court.
one, and two on the throwaway one, you look at six. The way the meeting works.
Antisocial in Clements Court, is that 16?
I'm hoping that everybody is reasonably happy with what we voted on.
Sorry.
No, you raise a very good point, and it is a really good sort of talking point for the next meeting. We need to be quite focused on what the priorities are, so that it gives everybody an opportunity to vote on a specific priority. What might have happened, and I don't know if this is true or not, is that the three priorities that were raised by particularly your group were all much of the same, and you may well have split your vote. If you'd concentrated on one really focused one, you might have got more votes, and it might have made the
Well,
top
we
three.
tried. We were told to separate them. We tried to make only one of them.
Because the whole house is one area.
The last thing I want to do is for us all to walk out of here unhappy with what we've got.
Well, is it worth taking those three as one and taking a vote on them to see whether that affects the outcome?
That's the way forward.
Yeah, agree with that.
So you've got antisocial behaviour in the Clements Court area, robbery and antisocial behaviour in Bedford Court, and antisocial behaviour in the Clements Drive area.
The
This is
first
all
one should have been Clayhive Drive, I think.
I think it's part of Clayhive Drive, yes. But it seems to be associated with people going back to the Clements or coming from the Clements to drinking either on the recreation ground or in the town. So could we take that as one group now and everybody vote on that as a group? So hands in the air, please.
Upload?
Yeah.
21.
21, yeah.
21.
Does that make any difference?
So that now becomes priority number 2 then, doesn't it? Speeding in the high street, that's the top priority. Then this one we've just done, and pavement parking.
What does that mean with drop off then? Which I think is an absolutely, this is the trouble I've got, that is an absolutely critical, cracking one for the SNT to deal with. Whereas pavement parking, well you have, yeah, we've changed it once though, haven't we? We've changed it once.
Drinking petrol and you're drinking in the allotments, probably all the same people. So you split the vote there as well.
Drinking in the free zone, you mean, and the rest of yeah. And then
Yeah, go ahead.
sleepers on the
On our group, it was basically, we spoke to your young officer there, and all these problems with highways, parking illegally, speeding, and things like that, we never had this problem until we got down traffic boarded. Could we not have one of your designated officers 6 months in this town and make a start, get some in-rates, and deal with parking, speeding, and anything illegally regarding motorists, because basically no one's got respect for you in this town.
They have to deal with so many other issues as well.
Can we
I
have
can't
someone-
designate them just to do that.
Can you go to your seniors and say, look, this is, I mean, every time we have a meeting, the public want this to be dealt with. Can we have a designated person to deal with this problem?
I think what we're going to have to do, the public have spoken, and I think we've lost a really, really important one there. I really do, but that's what the vote has said.
There's
So
no possibility of combining the speeding and the parking issues, given it's all in the high street, and turning that into one effectively, or is that stretching the bounds of your capacity too far?
I
That would then
don't think we could
combine two of the top
We
three.
combine 2 and 7,
Did-
which is drinking in the alcohol-free zone, basically.
yes, it is.
It's usually been the case that we take the priorities and those are given to Peter. Peter always undertakes to look at any other issues that we raise. There's nothing to prevent that happening now, unless Peter's saying otherwise.
No, you're exactly right. But what I would focus the SNT on is the street drinking and trouble with overnight, overnight sleepers in the allotment, that has got the potential. We don't grab hold of that fairly quickly. That has got the potential to cause us some real problems.
Well, I think we had a point earlier on. We've got drinking in the alcohol-free zone and rough sleeping and sleeping in the allotments is virtually the same sort of thing.
No, I don't. But I like to be driven by the members of the public who turn up to this meeting. They put themselves out. They turn up in their own time. I can't ignore what they're telling me. I can't.
One committee deal with it. That's what it's paid for. Simple as that.
I think you're right there to worry about the allotment. The winter approaching is right for
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Peter, could you give me a brief synopsis why people, and me especially, have lost faith in the police?
Can I do what?
We've lost faith in the police force.
Okay, I don't know how I'm meant to answer that one.
Well, you're not. It's a bit hard to define, but you're not carrying out what you should be doing.
What I'd like to do, I'd like to turn up here and tell you what I think the three priorities should be, and that would be entirely
There's no
simple.
need to get angry about it.
I'm not
I saw
getting
three
angry.
blokes today on the high street at 11:30 drinking out of cans. Now that should have been picked up at Bury. It wasn't. So why should I report it? What about unreported crime that happens in the town? It's tough. It's tough.
Right,
we don't get any
we
unreported
need to
crime.
come
You
up with
never
some
give
sort
any
of idea as to what our three priorities are going to be for the SNT. And I think the only thing we can do, as Gordon has rightly said, is go on what the vote is. And the vote is, just read us the three that came out, Ross, top.
Speeding cars, pavement parking, and the antisocial behaviour, drinking.
Okay.
involved in the allotment situation and been for some months. Okay. So
We will deal with the allotment job, we'll deal with the street drinkers as well, but the SNT will concentrate on the three priorities that the members of this group have decided by free public vote that we should concentrate on. That's what we're going to do, and I think that's where we'll end it this evening. It is frustrating for me, and I hear what you say, you think I'm getting angry. I'm not getting angry, I'm just getting a little bit frustrated as to how it's worked out this evening.
Could we just get a bit more tougher?
A bit more proactive would be best.
I just think we need to get a bit more tougher. Tougher stuff.
Okay.
Chair, in defence of the local police, and I think Peter's already alluded to the fact that there are only so many officers to go around, and I think we do have to recognise that is the case, and that they do have to prioritise their work, and that's one of the reasons they're here tonight. In addition to that, I think we all have a duty. I've heard one or two suggestions tonight that the police should be more proactive and get out and about more, and I'm sure that's all well and good, but we do have a duty to report these issues to the police. I've heard one or two suggestions tonight that we shouldn't have to do that. I personally think it is our responsibility, if we see something that we think is illegal or antisocial, that that matter is reported. It helps the police, even if they can't deal with it, at least it's then recorded as a statistic on their system. So if somebody comes back next week and says, how many reports of antisocial drinking have you had in the central area, they'll be able to say 101 instead of none if we don't report them. So it does give them an indication for their operational work alongside the priorities they set here. So I do hope people will work with the police to make sure that issues are reported. If you do that and then they don't do something about it, you can come back next time and complain about it.
Yeah, you're right.
Then they need to be contacted. If there's policy contact the police back certain area, that actually belongs to the
ex-SNT, and if any member of the public raises that, then that can have some weight to what's going on.
Certainly, yeah. Thinking back to the last meeting, and we're going to tie up in a minute, the Osier Place one, that was raised by the actual resident who came along, was very, very good in describing what the problem was. We raised that as a priority, it was voted on by the people in the room, and we cracked that, and that's the model that I'd like to follow. I think we have lost our way a little bit in terms of how we decide our priorities, and perhaps I'll sit down with Tim and we'll have a chat about the way forward, really, because I don't know about some of you, but I'm feeling a little bit frustrated that we haven't quite got the priorities that we need, really. We haven't quite got the priorities the SNT, police and our partners can actually tackle properly, and I'm a little bit frustrated by that, but there. It's a public vote, we voted.
Peter, with all due respect, a lot of these people here haven't been in Haverhill, you know, like basically I have. I've been almost 50 years in Haverhill. And well, then you ought to know them. They had twice the amount of police then, and they never put them back after the coal miners. Now we've got double the amount of people in Haverhill. You can't get them back for love or money. So I reckon if you look in the record to the amount of police officers that they had in the police station, right, before the coal miners part, and check today, you'll find that you'll be about 6, maybe to 10 PCs under strength. And that is the problem.
That may well be solved. We're dealing with the here and now.
No, but that is the problem, because we never had them back. I'm only just...
We won't have them back either.
No, as I say, that is the problem. You're trying to do your job, but you can't have the people. You've got no PC.
Okay, I'd like to thank you all for attending tonight. It has been very interesting, and we've got 3 new priorities, so thank you very much for your help in coming tonight. Thank you.
Okay, and just to note for your diaries, please, the next meeting is the 9th of December, and that will be in the Arts Centre in the middle of Haverhill.